thank the moderator, Felicia Lucky, for her excellent job in moderating that last enlightening and encouraging session. There is a lot to unpack out of that, and I'm pretty sure that with the questions that will be answered that have been submitted by the participants, that there's going to be a lot of activity that's going to be generated. And I'd like to thank you as well as the three participants for that panel. Moving on this morning, we have our next panel, which is on access to capital, funding pathways. And the moderator is Mr. Grover Brown of Community Enterprise Investments. And without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and pass that on to Mr. Brown.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Vaughn. What a great panel that we just heard. I really wish that could have continued, but we do have a great panel for this upcoming session now. I'm Grover Brown. I'm the Director of Lending for Community Enterprise Investments here in Pensacola, Florida. We are an SBA lender that serves Alabama as well as Northwest Florida. And I'm also a board member of AMN, the Alabama Micro Enterprise Network. Well, it's my pleasure today to welcome you to today's panel on accessing capital, funding pathways. And in today's conversation, we're going to continue a great conversation on the legacy of Booker T. Washington as he promoted business development throughout the country. We're appreciative to President Mims, President Morris. We're appreciative to Dr. Vaughn as well as to Gary Bryant for providing us this invitation and this opportunity to moderate this session. I just want to thank you for sincerely being able to have the opportunity to pretty much promote the fact that there are capital pathways for small businesses in the African-American community. And the past 2 years have seen an enormous strength of flow to the Community Development Financial Association, institution movement, as well as the other avenues in order to change what's happening throughout. So today's conversation, we're going to explore business funding. We're going to look at the challenges for business funding, as well as the implications for African-American business owners and African-American entrepreneurs and the challenges that they have in acquiring that capital. I think we all know that there still exists a great deal of challenges when it comes to African-Americans accessing capital. By far, we know that it's not an easy task. By far, we know that it's not a simple task, but there are some inroads that have been made. There are some things that are happening that are great. And we're joined today with some great guys who will who were on last year's conversation, as well as we have an additional person. And we're going to see some great things and hear some great things today. I'm going to allow our panelists to introduce themselves. We'll start first with Mr. Cory Green, who's with Regions Bank.
Well, good morning. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to join. As Mr. Brown said, I am Cory Green. I'm a commercial relationship manager here at Regions Bank in Birmingham. My pleasure to join this awesome panel and the discussion around access to capital. I got about 15 years worth of financial services experience and certainly have dealt with our community on this pressing issue. So looking forward to the conversation and my fellow panelists who I have a lot of respect for.
Okay, next we'll have Reginald Smith with Sabre Financing.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I want to say a big happy 25th anniversary to the Booker T. Washington Summit. You know, this is a great, it's been a great opportunity for me to participate. So I just want to say thank you all so very much for allowing Sabre Finance to be back and be a part. So on behalf of our CEO, Dr. Ray Morris, and the Sabre Finance family, we just appreciate you. And it couldn't be more timely with it being Small Business Week. So definitely this is great. Hats off to all the small businesses that are in attendance, and definitely get out this week and support a local company. And I'm looking forward to it today. Okay,
great. Thanks a lot, Reginald. Next, we'll have Mr. Kevin Tillman, and he will introduce himself.
Good morning. Good morning. I just want to say thank you, for the opportunity thank you for the powerful welcome, the powerful keynote speaker, and just the initial panel. I mean, that was amazing. I'm a small business lender with Communities Unlimited. We're actually in Fayetteville, Arkansas, but we service 7 states in the southeastern part of the country, as well as Alabama. So, like I said, I'm excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to answering you all's questions. So, thanks.
Well, let's go ahead and dig into this conversation. We know that small businesses throughout the nation are facing challenges, and even more so, small African-American or African-American entrepreneurs are facing challenges. I guess, many small businesses, many African-American businesses are struggling to stay afloat. This pandemic has been hard. This economic downturn has been hard. They're trying to find workers. They're trying to make sure they can keep a cash flow. And so many African-American businesses have had to pivot to stay afloat. But at the same time, if we turn it around, we know that this has been a time that there have been African-American businesses that have experienced enormous growth. There have been some startups that have basically been incubated during this period that are, coming forward in the startup movement. There have been businesses that are, I've seen that are growing like never before. But the issue of obtaining capital is still a challenge. And so as we begin to, talk about this today, I guess, how is your organization or how's your firm playing a distinctive role to the marketplace to bring capital to African Americans? And I want each panelist to talk about what their organization, their firm is doing respectively to enhance and to meet this challenge to bring capital to African American entrepreneurs. And we'll start off with Reginald Smith.
That's a great question. For starters, I think one of the newest things that I could mention about our organization is that we've recently partnered with the Community Foundation of Greater Birmingham to be able to assist Black business owners here in Birmingham. They had a mission with a lot of corporate and philanthropic organizations that put together a pool of funding that they wanted to support Black business owners. So we were selected to be a part of that. So that's one of the new developments. But at the core, 75% of our portfolio, meaning the loans that we have already done, are to African American business owners. One of the things in this, with a city that we sit in being predominantly African American, when you're able to help one Black business owner, they generally tell others. And so that's kind of been our story. With the new partnership we're working to push out. But one of the things that I believe that makes us very strong at what we do is we've recently been able to develop a business advisory team that allows us to be able to not only just consult business owners, but we actually are able to walk them through the muddy waters of where they're not familiar. And so whether it be accounting, we offer QuickBooks at no cost to the participants, and we're able to actually register them with QuickBooks and show them, because we have an accountant on staff that will actually set up their chart of accounts, which is one of the steps that a lot of business owners get hung up on, and actually show them how they can go through reconciling their accounts. If they're a more seasoned business and they need and to be with an accounting firm, they actually get 5 hours with an accounting firm that we foot the bill for. And so whether that be accounting or legal or human resources, marketing, all of these different areas are extremely necessary for these businesses. And we've taken it upon ourselves not to just tell them about those things, but we're also putting them in front of those professionals and being able to provide them with a certain amount of hours to get the resources that they need to walk them through that process. And so that would be an example of how we're able to assist and what we've been able to do to make sure that those business owners, Black business owners here in the state of Alabama, are able to be successful.
Okay, great. Thanks, Reginald. Let's go next to Kevin. If you will take that question, and you're coming in from a unique perspective outside of the state, but working in the state on an organization that serves throughout the Southeast, what's Communities Unlimited approach to delivering capital that's distinctive?
Well, for us, honestly, at the onset of COVID, we released an entirely new loan product that was specifically tailored to businesses who were impacted by COVID. One was a $5,000 product, the other was a $10,000 product, but it was just to help these businesses keep their doors open. Everyone took a huge hit in sales, with social distancing and not being able to have customers come inside the restaurants or their stores, their businesses. So for the most part, they were like working capital loans or inventory loans, but just offering an entirely new loan product. And then at the second round of COVID, we were actually in contact with the SBA, so we were able to become a PPP lender. And so we serviced a lot of the small businesses in our country. I can't say Alabama, but in our country and the southeastern part of the country, with these PPP loans who weren't able to get funding in that first round. And we have so many employees. So we took sort of a all hands on deck approach. And everyone who's a part of our organization was, making these referrals. They were in contact with small businesses and just letting them know about the products that we have available. Again, we aren't, sort of one off. We don't give out loans and sort of leave these businesses alone. We offer technical assistance, QuickBooks, accounting work. So most of the businesses that received our recovery loans, our COVID relief loans, they're still in contact with our management consultants until this day. So again, we offer new products. I feel like we stay connected with these businesses. We're with them every step of the way. So I say that's our direct response to COVID.
Okay, great. That is great. Cory, we have 3 CDFIs, and you're the traditional banking guy here. What's going on with Regions, and how's Regions is being distinctive to make sure that we can deliver capital to African-American entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so again, I like to clarify the delivery of capital. That we kind of generalize a lot of terms when we talk about access to capital. What is a business and what kind of capital a person or a business needs? So as it relates to rescue funds through kind of the pandemic, obviously Regions was a player in the PPP delivery channels, but we also partner with several organizations in our town, in our city, to get capital to places that we had no access to. So we were trying to figure out ways to get the capital to certain people, certain groups, specifically our Black-owned business, our women-owned business. We were able to partner with the Birmingham Business Resource Center, who Bob was just on, and just really finding ways to get that done. It's more difficult than people think it is to actually get capital to people and also account for that capital. These are the things that we have to really be honest about. We have to make sure that we're in play and in line and qualified for the different things that are coming out. Capital needs are situational and seasonal. So no bank and no organization is there to rescue you from a failing business. We're not partnering with you on that. But if there are situations such as a pandemic that affects all business across all channels, then it's our responsibility to figure out how to make sure that that thing does not drive our businesses, out of business. So Regions did a lot. I served all of my customers. We were up day and night trying to work through this PPP thing. And that was kind of one of the more challenging things that I've seen in banking, quite frankly. I respect all of my colleagues for that. But again, I think we have to really identify what situation and what season we're talking about for that business, for that capital need, to figure out exactly what type of access they have, what options they have to get that need met. The need doesn't necessarily qualify somebody to get capital. Now, I want to say that very clearly. Everybody on this call has certain criteria that we have to mandate and make sure that we're checking these boxes to be good stewards of the capital that we have placed in our possession. And so again, Regions has partnered with most of, if not all of the organizations in Birmingham, I know, and participated in newly fresh original ideas that our administration had as far as how do we get capital to folks that we know are not accessing it through the traditional channels of banks. We certainly recognize that that's an issue. I think it's something that we all have to figure out how to address. But I can certainly tell you that Regions has done a lot as far as putting millions of dollars, not only in in our customers' hands, but in organizations that could get it to our communities that have been impacted without that connectivity to a major bank.
Great, Cory. You bring up something I think that all of us as lenders, we know clearly. There exists a challenge for lending organizations that serve African American communities. Matter of fact, there's two sides of the coin. Decide to get the capital, and then decide to successfully deploy the capital. It's easy sometimes to get the capital, but the challenge then becomes deploying the capital. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about the deployment. Because when we can go and negotiate with the regions as a CDFI, or a loan fund, hey, invest in us, and we're going to put this money here. But then there's a challenge. There's some restrictions that go with that. There's some milestones that have to be met. There's some reporting that has to be done, and of course, regions doesn't just give us money. They invest in us because they're a bank. And so they make it a very nice investment. But then we have the job to turn around and get this to our community. And let's talk about that. Getting this to African American entrepreneurs, the challenge. Let's talk about that briefly. Reginald.
Well, one of the challenges that I would kind of go out on a limb and say is being able to prepare a Black business owner to be able to receive capital. I had a very interesting conversation with a business owner yesterday, and she's 48, and she owns a company, and she works out of her mom's house right now. And we were talking about sources and uses of a loan fund. Like, what are you going to use the money for? So tell me how much you need. What are we going to use it for? And we're going down a list of different things, equipment. And she was like, well, really, I'm about to move because I want to get my own place. And then she also began to talk about this large piece of equipment, an oven that needed to be delivered to her mom's house. But I said, do you want to wait to get that? Because that's going to be kind of difficult to move. So we're talking through these different steps about deploying capital, right? And I said, how much are you paying yourself, and where are your monthly expenses going? Like, how are you paying for insurance because she has health issues and amongst other things? Are you taking those funds out of the business as they come up, or are you actually giving yourself a pay, like actual salary, writing yourself a check? And that still wasn't clear. And so I tell people, when we're dealing with Black business owners, more often than not, you're not just speaking to them about the steps of running a business. You're speaking to them on a larger scale of not only having personal financial principles, but you also are teaching them about business principles at the same time. And those two things are two completely separate sciences, for lack of better words. They mirror, but they're two completely different sciences. And so if you're a business owner and you're 100% in a business, micro enterprise, less than $100,000, less than 3 employees, you're generally everything to that organization. And so a lot of times the work that comes into making that happen becomes time consuming. The hours upon hours that it takes to do that, a lot of individuals get exhausted with that. And that's why you have to have teams in place to be able to say, okay, I'm going to spend an hour with you today. I'm going to spend an hour with you on Thursday. and I'm gonna spend an hour on you on next Thursday, and I'm gonna check back in with you. It has to be more consistent. I tell this story more often than not. We have to not just tell people who've never seen a bike and a helmet how to ride a bike. I said, it's just like with children. You wouldn't tell your child and take them outside and say, hey, I got you a bike, and they run outside and they're excited. And they're like, man, I never had a bike before. I never had a helmet. And you say, okay, this is what you do. You take this bike and you sit on it. And when you sit on it, you put your helmet on and you buckle your helmet up. And these two things right here, they're handles. And then once you put your hands on the handlebars, you put your feet on these things. These are called pedals. And you start moving your feet. And that's how you ride a bike. That's generally what we do when we send business owners through technical assistance classes. We bring them into something that they've never seen before. Historically, most Black business owners don't have a history of having somebody who they can go back to and reach back to and say, how do I successfully run this business? They're first-time entrepreneurs, and they don't have technical business training. So they don't know about the economy, how economics work, how supply and demand work, any of that. They have a skill set they want to produce to the market. And so we have to go back and be those individuals that say, okay, here, sit on the bike, you put your feet on the pedal and start moving your feet, and I'm going to hold these handlebars with you and help you drive this bike. And so deploying capital is not really an issue. It's preparing the business owners to be able to be ready when the money comes in, because if they don't have a strategy, that loan just became their personal savings in some cases, because unfortunately they still have life that takes place, and then that business never begins to thrive. And so unfortunately, it's more than just about deploying the capital. It's preparing those business owners to be ready, as well as use the capital effectively.
Okay, thanks a lot. Kevin Tillman, if you could take a stab at this for us.
Yes, sir. As far as, challenges to deploying capital, I would say when working, with Black people and Black businesses, it's very hard to try and get, business owners and entrepreneurs to look at where their business is upon application for capital, and to also look at their business as an actual business instead of, sort of a hustle. Most businesses start off, I feel like for minorities, out of passion, something that they're very passionate about, that they know a lot about, and it could be a home-based business. When you're trying to grow this business, and when you go into a bank, a financial institution, CDFI, you have to operate your business. You have to present your business as a business and understand certain criteria that they have to look for in order to protect their loan funds. So most banks, and I know for us, CDFIs, they offer technical assistance. And here at CU, we do a lot of hand holding. So I'll spend time reviewing, the credit report and just explaining how this might affect, your chances of getting a loan. We'll look at, the current business state. How can you show us that you've established sales? I know that you have customers, but how have you recorded your sales? You know what I mean? And so I feel like there's a difficulty in entrepreneurs as far as understanding, hey, this bank isn't just, stringing me along or asking me for so many pieces of documentation. They're actually trying to help me get approved for this loan or get this financing. Let's see. There's so much that I could really get into on this topic. I'll just go ahead and cut myself short on this one.
Okay, all right. We're going to come back to it. Cory Green, if you will.
Yeah, I think those are all the valid points, again, about the capital deployment or accessing it. Again, when a bank invests into a CDFI, a bank has goals in mind that they want to accomplish with that investment. Just like a business owner has goals that it has in mind as far as the loan that they are applying for. And so if the goals are not being met of a bank saying, we need this, everybody's heard about Community Reinvestment Act. And everybody knows it's been highlighted the, transgressions of what banks have done to our Black community, throughout our history. So these systems were not set up to allow Black people to have access to capital. The information as far as financial literacy not only impacts our own personal life, but we take that same practice into our business. And so a lot of times when it comes downtown for you to actually apply for a loan, the number one reason people are not even going through the process is for lack of clear documentation. You have not transferred your side hustle into a business. You have not filed your taxes. You have not done any of these things that will show a bank and even show yourself what your business has done. A lot of times, we're trying to piece something together, and that literally has a 10% or less chance of being approved. And so a bank is trying to go through a CDL5 to say, hey, we have struggled in this area. We can't quite get this thing to fit into the box that we have for a loan. So we're going to convert it into an investment, but this is what we need you guys to do as far as keeping up with the data, tracking this, making sure that it's a viable return on this investment. You guys need those monies repaid so that you can go help other people. And so again, I think a lot of it is not even walking all the way through the door. We have to understand, again, where our business is. It's not about love. It's about money. It's not about, like I said, passion. It's about what can you produce as your revenue. The capital that we really need to focus on accessing is receipts and invoices. Like getting money coming in so that we can really make sure that we have a clear path and a clear understanding of our finances so that we know appropriate loan size and when we need a loan. Again, loans are not there to save businesses. They're just not. A loan is a product that a bank used to make money for itself. And the only way that it's going to be deployed is if the bank has a lot of confidence that they're going to get that money back. And so again, we have to really look at it differently. I hear a lot of pain around white banks per se. And I'm not here to defend everything that a bank has done. I work for plenty of them. So it's not even about regions at this point. But every bank I work for has a CRA initiative that we're struggling to fill. We're struggling to get money to folks that we have to get money to. And it's literally about lack of documentation and not understanding your own business. So I'm challenging everybody that is a potential business owner or a current business owner. Be intentional. Keep good books from the beginning. Show and prove what you have done from the beginning. We're only going to base a loan on what you have done, not what you think you want to do or not what you say you can do. Like, we got to have documentation for these things. Now, I'll leave it at this. I have 2 sons. I love them. Love them. Give them anything. And if one came to me and say, Dad, I got this great idea. I'm about to start this business and I need you to loan me $5,000. Well, if he asking me for a loan, I'm like, well, son, you ain't made no money. You don't have no viable way to pay me back. So no, you can't have a loan. Now, as your dad, I might invest in your business. I might buy into your dream. I might give you something and take a little ownership and take that ride with you. But as a strict business decision, I'm gonna tell this guy who I have a relationship with, who I invested in his growth in, no, you can't have that loan because you can't pay it back. And just don't get offended with that. Just figure out, well, how do I qualify? What do I need to do? And that's where the relationship with one of these individuals on the phone can help you line that up. A lot of times we're using third parties and intermediary folks to talk to banks for us, and that's not a good look. If you can't tell your own story, if you can't handle your own finances, if you can't present your case to me as a banker, I can't present that to an underwriter who is only looking at the numbers on this thing. So the access and or the deployment, I think the issue really, Mr. Brown, is that we don't have the documentation, the track record to show and prove that we have qualified for this, to even get it to the underwriter. And so what should take a couple of days for an application generally can take us months to get in an application. And you're declined at that point. I'm just going to be honest.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. The previous panel, I was just enthused by Dr. Harris. I mean, when he was speaking of millennials and speaking of the entrepreneur spirit that they have, the spirit to invest in each other and to pop up on businesses, the gig economy. But we all know at the same time, as they tell me, we're building Black Wall Street. But I guess, my question is always, how can you build Black Wall Street when you don't have a profit and loss and balance sheet? When you don't have the financials? And that leads us to technical assistance. We know that, in order to play into Cory's game, you're going to start with us. And I know we've been throwing around CDFI, but it means Community Development Financial Institution. How do, or better yet, technical assistance, that's the free business consulting that the CDFIs, that the loan funds give, micro lenders. How valuable is technical assistance in helping a business to succeed? I'm going to start with, I'm going to go with Cory first, because Cory sees the end results eventually from the technical assistance that we do. How valuable is that?
I'm not cool, but I think the term is called everything. It's everything, man. Like literally. So if you don't have the technical awareness or assistance, well, there is a huge need for technical assistance. Again, we haven't had the traditional resources that other, white people and even, Latinos and other folks have had to even start a business. And so a lot of it is a lot of grit, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of passion, and that owner is putting everything into that end result, into that product. They literally don't have time for family, so they definitely don't have time for finance. And so again, this technical assistance, when you're talking about capital growth, you don't need technical assistance to make money. Please understand me. You need technical assistance to get money. And that's the difference. And so when you come in to get money from a bank or a financial institution, there are things that we literally have to have in order to even consider the deal. And that's where this packaging of your financials come into place, understanding a profit and loss statement, understanding your balance sheet, being able to tell your story about where the money is going. A lot of times I'm seeing Black businesses that are making good money, get all the money, draw all the money out of the business. And then come to the bank and say, well, the business made money. Well, it's nothing in there. And so again, I think sometimes all the times we have to strategize our approach to a loan. The first 2 years of your business should not even be thinking about a loan. It's going to be tough. I still haven't figured out a way for us to do that, like period. So after you get past that point, you really need to understand what cycle and season you're in. How does your money move? Who are your big customers? And are they consistent? It's a lot to a loan. We just hear a few of the categories: credit score, cash flow, collateral. Like the loan ain't just about that stuff. These things are puzzles trying to be put together. And the more gaps you have for a lack of technical assistance, a lack of a game plan, you're trying to throw something on the table. Again, y'all, we need to quit wasting that time. Stop doing things last minute, coming in, asking for a loan. Be intentional. Be very intentional. So if you have a great idea and you start seeing some success, you need to be documenting what's happening. And you also need to be telling Uncle Sam what's happening. I know we don't want to pay taxes. And I ain't saying you got to pay them all, but you at least got to file them, right? And so these are the things that we need to understand. There is literally nothing wrong with a side hustle. Please understand me. I was a young man. It wasn't nothing wrong with having a girlfriend, period. But there are certain things that you just don't get just by having a girlfriend. There are certain benefits that you don't get by having a side hustle. There are certain things you can't bring to the bank through a side hustle. And so technical assistance is literally the biggest deal of it all. Not your skill, not your ability, not your product, not your love. It is literally this technical assistance box that I think we have to really invest in. And our business owners have to take the time to invest into themselves there. Not about getting another piece of equipment all the time. Sometimes it's about really maximizing and managing what you have and understanding that money. And sometimes we find money in that. And finally, I'll say this. I got some real strong Black customers. Employ hundreds of people, big time. But they even with that, they could not grow. They could not come to us with a loan, already having an established relationship, already having $1 million in the bank, and just apply for a loan without the documents that we're going to ask you for too. So there is no preferential treatment around technical documents when it comes to bank loans. Everybody has to have them, regardless. So I would say, I know that was a little long-winded, but that is the area. That is the key. That is the critical portion of this deployment and access to capital, is that you're prepared to receive it. That you're prepared to receive it. And that's a big deal.
Okay, Kevin.
Yes, sir. And technical assistance, just to say, I mean, it's not only something that's offered by banks and CDFIs. There are organizations, economic development organizations, that do this all day. They're free organizations. You go there, you work with, different consultants, and it's their job to help you understand your business and the way cash is going to flow through your business. I think that any entrepreneur, anyone who's attending this panel, if you're operating a business, take advantage of the free services before you approach the bank, because once you reach out to that bank or CDFI about a loan, they're expecting for everything to be together, and like I said, we're a very small CDFI, so we do some of that handholding. There are some, lenders who just don't have time to, work with you and help you understand everything that's going on within your business. So I think the technical assistance is probably the most important piece, because whether you get a loan or not, or whether you're eligible for a loan, you could grow your business into a six-figure business based off of technical assistance and working from home alone. So I say start small and just, consider all of your options. But technical assistance is probably the most important thing that you could do for your business, especially when you're starting small. So yeah, take advantage of it. Why not? You'll get accounting services, you'll get online marketing services. You'll understand your products, what you should sell, what doesn't sell best. There's everything that you can learn and gain from technical assistance. So yeah, please take advantage of it before approaching a bank.
Gary, Reginald, if you would close us out on this question.
It's a friend of mine, one of our associates, Jackie Jones, posted a video on Instagram yesterday, and it was her drinking a cup of coffee, and it was a guy, and he was stuttering. He was kind of like, I hadn't really had the chance to, and the caption is when you're trying to convince people to take advantage of free resources. And it was just it's one of those situations where it's not an access issue anymore. And I challenge people with that every day, because there's a lot of people who look at guys like me with my suited shirt and tie on, and they say, well, you just saying that from your position. It's like, no, it's not an access issue anymore. There's the Alabama Small Business Development Center Network. There's organizations like Sabre Finance. There's CDFIs. There's micro lenders. There's people who are bound by certain agreements, for lack of better words, to give you free game, free resources. At this moment, it's a simple matter of you either getting in contact. You come into a conference like this, right? And you hear about CDFIs, you hear these organizations' names, and you got to reach out. You got to say, hey, I don't really know what I need, or what I, what all I don't know, what I don't, but I this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at, and I need to start with something. If you're not paying your taxes and you hiding it under the table, we see that every day. Don't be ashamed of that. Just be real with yourself and say, this is where I'm at. If you're not filed, you gotta file your taxes. I've had people come to me, I ain't filed taxes in 5 years, man. I've been in business for 10 years and I haven't filed taxes in 5 years. Okay, let's get to work. It's not anything to be ashamed of. Again, more often than not, you either got advice for somebody who wasn't doing it the right way and you followed that advice, or you had no clue what you were doing. You were just trying to put food on the table, right? You either lost your job, you have a skill, you've been working in the backyard, you've been out cutting grass or whatever, doing hair, selling shirts, or whatever it is that you do. Because we're very talented people. So we know how to make money. The difficulty comes in is what Cory's point is putting it all into a financial symphony that speaks to the individuals that you want to talk to. That's where the difficulty comes in. That's where the discipline comes in, where you have to go and deposit the money into your bank account instead of going to spend it to buy the inventory. That's something simple. And it's like, well, why do I got to do that? Because if I can't look in the bank statement and see that it's there, it never happened. Well, it did happen. Well, it didn't happen because it wasn't on the transaction. That don't make sense to me. I understand that, but that's how it works. So which one do you want to do? Do you want to keep doing what's comfortable, or do you want to do what works to get you to the next level? And I think for us, that's what we do. We tell you the right way, and then we're going to hold you accountable to it. And I can't tell you the number of people who say, you know, they just fall off. I don't hear from them anymore. And then they're just gone. And then this is what happens. They go to another organization and that organization can't help them. And then they'll say, hey, I got an organization that can help you. Reginald, I know a guy named Reginald, and you should talk to him. And they like, God, I already talked to him. You know? And it's like, I already talked to him one time. And so they got to come back. And I'm still going to be this. I'm going to tell you the same thing because there's no way around it. You can go out to the predatory lenders all you want to, and they're going to eat you alive. And that's what we're trying to save you from. Cabbage. When I was in banking, Cabbage was the number one lender. They were charging people 40 and 50% interest rate on loans. They were taking money out of people's bank accounts every day. People were paying $500 and $600 and $700 a week for money that they borrowed to buy a piece of equipment. And their business crumbled as a result of that. There are real predators out there, and you can get the money. You can go through Clover Capital and go to Square, and they send you that little email, and PayPal send you that little email and say, hey, you can get $5,000, but they're going to take it off the top, and you have no idea what you're paying on that interest just because you needed money. Let's stop patching our problems and let's fix them. That's what technical assistance is for. Y'all know what all this stuff is. And there's some people, we're going to talk about it, and we talked about a lot of it. We talk about accounting services and amongst other things, but a lot of you guys have heard that before. What you really need to hear is stop patching the problem. You're patching the problem. You're trying to just get to the next. We're trying to do the paycheck to paycheck thing. I just need to get through this little hump. I need to get to the next. I just need to get to the next job. No, we have bigger issues than that. We need to learn things like, okay, if all of my expenses and all of my vendors are paid through different times of the month, I need to learn when to pay certain vendors. I need to have paydays. If certain things are due on the 15th, I need to have a payday, and certain things I can pay at the end of the month because of the way my money comes in and out of my account. I've stopped somebody from getting a loan by simply helping them when to make payroll and when to pay their vendors. They was like, man, I thought I needed a loan, but really I just was paying all the money out at one particular time in the month. I didn't know that. It's simple things like that that we can work through, but you have to start somewhere. GPS can't tell you to go where you need to go until they find out where you are. And we got to find out where we are, and then we can plot a course for you. So technical assistance is what you need. But the question is do you really want to do the work to patch, to fix the problem, and not just continue to patch it?
All right. Thanks, Reginald. Great response. Before we go to our next question, just want to mention a lot of times people are hesitant to access the free resources that are offered by community development financial institutions, loan funds, small micro lenders, as well as the small business development services, SBDC, small business development centers. And so, we put we put a stigma that, how can I get free help that's going to help me make business? Believe me, it's free help that will help you to make money. But you just have to invest in it, and you just have to make it go. Before we get out of here, because we're having this great conversation, we can go on. I just want to go into our questions and answers. someone had a question of how important is it to keep personal finances and business finances separate? Cory.
That's a great question. So what I would say is this: you do want to operate separately, meaning having your business account, have your personal account. If you're making money off of your business, have a transactional pattern that shows that money going from the business to the personal, whether it's you paying yourself or some type of distribution that happens. But ultimately, you are your business. I think I heard in the last panel, it's like 90% of our businesses are sold props. So it's really, you are your business. I've heard all the sayings, tax ID, and it ain't on me and all this kind of stuff. No, you are your business, literally. And your personal finances are going to be a reflection of how you run your business. So from a transaction standpoint, from a record keeping standpoint, from the purposes of being very consistent on how I manage my personal finances, yes, I would definitely have separate accounts. I would have, separate transactions. I would keep all of that distant. But in the grand scheme of things, you are your business. Your personal financial situation is probably the most relevant to your business. And so again, what I always encourage people to do is before you start working on your business financials, get your personal financials in order. Make sure that you understand how your monthly budgets, your pay scales, your credit score, all these different things are already in place so that your business is not being dragged down by personal situations. It's very rare that a personal situation is not involved in a loan decision. So again, it's important to have them separate from a transaction standpoint, right? But they are all the same when it comes to a lending situation. Not when I'm talking about just a checking account, not when I'm talking about other services, but your personal credit score, your personal cash flow is always considered when you're coming in for a business loan, period. So keep them separate, but know that they're connected either way.
Thanks a lot for that one. That straight to the point, and that really helps. Another question we have: what are your organizations doing to reach the hard to reach populations? Some folk may not have heard of a CDFI. So what are your organizations doing beyond the borders of the groups in which you are already providing services? Kevin, if you would take a stab at that one.
I'm so happy that you called on me for this question. It's events like these. I've only driven through, Alabama. I've never been there, but you have to take advantages of your partners, and different events, and just trying to work with colleagues to reach areas that may not be serviced. There are always ways for entrepreneurs to get in contact with different banks and CDFIs, but there are ways that we could work to reach out to you all as well. And so I think just taking a proactive approach and just trying to continue to put our names out there and just talk about the services that we offer and taking advantage of events like these is something that we could all do, because I know that I may host another lender panel, and I have a flyer full of partners on this flyer right now that I'm going to reach out to, and they can talk about their services and what they offer in Arkansas. And so I think it's just establishing a communication network such as that. And like I said, just continuing to promote yourself and putting your services out there.
Okay. All right. Great. Great. Thanks, Kevin. And it's so important because, Cory, Reginald, and I, we've done this before, not just for the Booker T. Washington Summit, but some other venues. And within community development associations and institutions, within credit union, within those who provide small business commercial lending services, as well as any type of commercial loan services, it's important that you network. So we network. We go beyond the border. There are loans that's in my tool house that may not be in Reginald tool shed that Kevin can do that Cory can't do. And so it's understanding that when you come to one of us, we want to serve our customers. I want to put you in front of someone who can help you if you are in the position to be helped. So that part is big among the commercial lenders, and especially with the co-sponsor of this event, Alabama Micro Enterprise Network. That network exists throughout Alabama, where those providers are there to make your business succeed. And that's the whole thing with it. One more question, and then we're going to give everybody a chance to give some closings. And let's look at this one here. I think we answered that one. What are some things that people need to do to be prepared for capital or to access those resources? Reginald?
Start by getting connected to either a micro lender, the SBDC in your area, the capital access team if you're here in Alabama, or a community development financial institution, and allowing them to have visibility into where you are as a business owner right now, what you're doing, what your sales look like, where are you going in the business? And that way you can develop a solid checklist that will allow you to know what you need to work on, if anything, and what that needs to look like for you, because that's going to be unique per individual. Some individuals may have QuickBooks and may be using it, or some type of bookkeeping, and it may be accurate, it may not be accurate. Some people may have, to Cory's point, you may be commingling funds is what that's called. You may have personal and business transactions in the same account, and you may need to start a business bank account. So that's a very difficult question to ask in a broad sense, but you need to get with someone who understands lending and has the infrastructure or the system and the support system to help you. And you can figure that out very quickly. My charge to you would be to whatever steps that are necessary for you to take. Let's put the work in to get you where you need to be.
Great. Thanks for that, Reginald. How important is a business plan when starting?
I'll take that.
Okay,
I'll take that one real quick because I know we're running up on time. A business plan is, I tell people this, I said a business plan is just this. It's a idea. It's who you are, what you do, how you're going to do it, and what you need from me. Now, generally speaking, the numbers that you put in there are what's called projections. If you put projections in there, because some don't have them in there. And those are numbers that you decided that you feel like you can honestly do. That's helpful for us to understand. But at the end of the day, to Cory's point, if you're very early on in your business or you're a startup, none of that has happened. And so we have to make sure that we don't just spend so much time on elaborate business plans, because I've seen a lot of business owners do it. They get real hung up on how pretty their business plan is and how many graphics and charts and all these different type of things it has in it. A business plan has to make sense. I'm going to sell X, Y, and Z product to this particular market. There's 50 people in that market that can buy my product. I have talked to 3 of them and they've agreed. Here's a document that says that they're willing to buy product from me. I can't produce products that fast, so I need some money to help me to be able to do that. That's where a business plan comes in and help it make sense. It's the meshing point that when I leave you, I have something to hold on to, but don't spend too much time on it because a lot of it is just projections. So it's important, but at the same time, it has to make sense and it should identify you from anybody else that I've talked to that day. So don't spend too much time on it because most of it is projections, but have some supporting documentation that go along with the business plan.
Okay, all right, thanks a lot. Let's get ready to close it out. I want to give each panelist an opportunity. We have 3 minutes, so if you can take 35 seconds or less to give up your closing remarks. Cory?
Yeah, I would again want to thank Tuskegee University and Gaynell Jackson and her team and all that were involved in putting this together. I think it's very valuable information. It's reaching an audience that we certainly want to reach. I challenge every young entrepreneur on the phone or on the line to say this: look, find a need and fill it. That's a very famous quote. And that's really where you'll have your success in business, is filling needs, not necessarily filling your own needs and filling your own belly. And so again, we've heard a lot of needs around technical assistance. I know we got some young people on the phone that are very smart and bright. Figure out a way to start a business under technical assistance. Maybe you can be an outsource resource to some of these businesses we're trying to support. You have your own thing. And finally, I would say this: I hear a lot of pain around so-called white banks and things like that. And again, I'm not the spokesperson for any bank, really. But we have to realize that these are the same folks you're going to ask for loans. So if there's a distrust there, if you side-eyeing them, they're going to side-eye you back. So again, we have to kind of remove this veil of offense and really understand, in this climate, in this time, capital is out there. And there are really strong motivating factors for banks and other institutions to get it to you. You just have to make sure that you're aligned and in position to receive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Kevin.
Yes, I'll be quick. I just want to say, thanks for the invitation to this summit. It was, a very valuable summit, and we gave out some very insightful, great information. To Black entrepreneurs, I just want to challenge everyone to reestablish a sense of community. When I was growing up, we didn't really have much. My mom knew someone who could fix our washing machine. We knew someone who could work on our car if it broke down. We also, had someone who cut grass, so I could go out and cut grass if I needed to. Do that for your business. Have a network of colleagues, whether you're in the same industry or not, who you partner with, who may have access, to a PPP lender who could put you in contact with them, or they may have access to an Alibaba or a drop shipping company that could save you, money on your clothes. Just reestablish that sense of community, because I think it takes a village, and I think we could all benefit from working more closely together. And that's where I'll leave it.
Okay, Reginald.
I couldn't have said it better. Just to piggyback off of that, again, thank you all so very much for allowing Sabre Finance to be here. I found the time reading and watching things about Booker T. Washington last night and his Atlanta Compromise. He talked about establishing Black progress through entrepreneurship and education. And I think one of the things that we talk about today, and I heard someone else quote him earlier, and it's important to step over into entrepreneurship. I'm excited that there are more and more Black people, men and women, who want to be in business. But my charge to you is start being students of business as well. Don't just take old advice. Don't just take anyone's just piece of knowledge or whatever. Start being a student. There is so much information out there about running a company, about accounting, marketing, you name it. There's so much information, and you got to start being a student of it to be good at it. And so we're here to support you. You can reach out to us at Sabre Finance, Alabama Micro Enterprise Network. We'll do anything we can to help you. But we appreciate it again, and thank you all for having us.
All right. Thank you, Reginald. I'm Grover Brown, and we have enjoyed this, and I want to thank Tuskegee University, and want to encourage everyone who's listening to be about the business of taking care of your business. Thank you very much, and back to you, Dr. Vaughn.
We really appreciate everything that the two panels have given. I appreciate you, Mr. Brown, for moderating that and for keeping us on time. At this point in time, I believe that Gaynell Jackson is going to give some closing remarks, and there are some others that will be giving closing remarks, but they will be reserving those until tomorrow. Also, I would be remiss if I did not remind everyone, please check the chat and please check the screen after the closing remarks. Your input, your evaluations are very important. They are what allow us to continue to have these kinds of sessions. They are how we justify getting the federal money to do so. So it cannot be overstated how important they are. At this time, Ms. Jackson.
Good morning. Well, my name is Gaynell Jackson, and I'm sorry I am not there visually, but I'm the president of the Alabama Micro Enterprise Network, and we are so excited to partner with Tuskegee on the BTW Summit. This is our second year in this process, and first, the Alabama Micro Enterprise Network is an organization that exists to bridge the divide between micro businesses, the entities that serve them, and the communities that benefit from them. We have looked at this partnership as a way for us to expand what we do and who we reach. So we're excited to be able to reach entrepreneurs, service providers, the educational community, and the larger business community. Today's program has just been phenomenal. The kickoff with Maggie Anderson, followed by both the panels. I definitely am going to have to listen to them again because I just didn't get enough notes. And they definitely set the tone for what we as an organization, we as business owners, and we as just the community that supports our Black businesses need to do going forward. So we are excited about being a part of this. Want to commend Gary Walton and his team for what they've done in terms of the summit. Commend Tuskegee for its commitment, its continued commitment to the 25th anniversary of this summit, so that they are saying that what we all need to do to support micro businesses and small businesses is important. So again, just thank you for including us. Thank you for letting us be a part of such a great endeavor.
And this concludes our first day of the 25th Booker T. Washington Economic Development Summit. I thank you all for your attendance and your participation. This is the first day of 2. We will be started tomorrow, probably at 9:00 a.m. I also would like to take the time to thank our partner, the Alabama Micro Enterprise Network, and also our partners, Regions Bank, Renaissance Bank, Truist, Made in Alabama, AT&T, the National Business League, the American Small Business Development Center of Alabama, University of West Alabama, Communities Unlimited, and the Black Belt Community Foundation.